Okay, hello and welcome to the Fraser Hatyai show. And today will be another interview style show with my friend Rati here.
Hi.
He is a local Bangkok guy. Well, he's not originally from Bangkok, but living in Bangkok. And you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Rati. I'm teaching English to Thai people and teaching Thai to foreigners.
Okay, cool. So we're going to discuss two topics today: the difficulties for Thais learning English, and also the difficulties for foreigners learning Thai. So let's start off with the first topic. So
Okay.
what do you think is the hardest part or the hardest thing when it comes to Thais learning English?
Well, from my experience, I mean, like, I was involved with this industry since I started since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So from there until now, I can say like the most thing that we are afraid about is we don't have a confidence when we speak English. So we lack of confidence. We are afraid of being ashamed when we
Okay.
speak. We are afraid of making mistakes. That's the main thing.
So you think the lack of confidence and the fact that Thais are afraid to try and speak English with foreigners because they're afraid of making mistakes and maybe losing face? Do you
Losing
think,
face,
do you think
yeah,
that's
it's a
something
part
that-
of our culture,
Yeah.
and no one wants to have it.
Yeah. So, yeah. So when you're learning English, one of the most important things is you learn through speaking and making mistakes. So if you're not willing to speak and make mistakes, the learning process is you can only get so far with books and school and,
Right.
and courses, but the actual most of the learning I think with learning languages comes from just speaking and chatting with people and playing with the language and making mistakes. So
Yeah.
yeah. So apart from confidence, what else do you think is an issue with Thais learning English?
So in our culture, if someone's doing really good at something, and then they're gonna be considered a black sheep, which is in Thai we call cat dam. We are in the culture that singling out is not acceptable.
Yeah.
So if you are very good at that thing, and then you're showing off too much, and then your friends, your people around you gonna say something bad to you. So that's one of the reasons that we don't speak very well, because everyone that they're good at English, they're afraid they're gonna be
A black sheep.
outstanding, yeah, black
Okay,
sheep,
so-
some kind of thing.
So, I think a lot of the reasons that Thai struggle with English are kind of cultural reasons. Like, the first reason being the fear of making mistakes and losing face, and then the second one is the fear of being very good at speaking English
Yeah.
and standing out too much.
Standing out too much.
So, how can we find like some kind of middle ground where Thais can feel confident to go ahead and speak without fear of standing out and without fear of losing face by making mistakes?
For me, when I tell my students, right, if you want to be really good in English, you need to get rid of your fear first, and then you need to challenge yourself. If you want to be one of the good English speakers, and everyone can understand you, you just speak. Yeah, you don't need to worry that much, because that is your future, that is
Yeah.
your skills. If you if you worry much about people, right, that makes you're not gonna reach your goal. So the first thing, you need to get it off the fear and don't care people, don't care any voice around you.
Yeah. No, but that doesn't just apply to language. I think that's something that applies to learning a new skill or trying something new. If you have the fear of failure or the fear of, or if you're too busy worrying about the opinion of others, you're never going to get anywhere because yeah, you you won't go ahead and do anything if you're too worried about what everyone's going to think. So yeah, I guess the only way to do it is to try and overcome that fear, and that I guess comes with motivation and confidence.
Yeah. And also like the main problem about Thai learning English is our country, right? We most focus on taking an examination. So if you see like every kid, every Thai person who really want to learn English, they mainly focus just to pass the exams. So once they pass the exam, the question is like, what is next? What they're gonna do after they pass the exam? If they're not able to communicate with foreigners, if they're not able to use like a simple English in their daily life, so what's the point of passing the exam? Or what's the main point of learning English then? That's the question that I tell my students. I challenge them, I ask them like, what you're gonna do after you get a good grade, right? But that's not the goal of learning English. If you're not understood by people, yeah, what you're gonna do with your life then?
So a third difficulty you would say would be the way English is taught. You're taught English to pass a test and that's it.
Right.
And it's mainly focused on grammar and reading and writing and not so much on speaking.
Yeah, like in schools they teach you grammar rules, right? They teach you how to do the test, how to learn grammar rules in order to pass the test.
Yeah.
But then they don't teach you how to know the grammar rules in order to speak English.
Yeah, I've seen English taught in Thai classrooms before, and sometimes the board looks like some kind of Einstein equation.
Yeah. Equation.
It's like verb to
past
be
tense,
equals
past
P
simple,
2S
yeah,
minus. It's
past,
like they learn in maths or English sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a difficulty. But also, I think a lot of Thais feel like, what do I need to learn English for? I don't need to. I just take the test, pass the test. Like you can get a master's degree in Thailand without being able to speak English.
Even PhD students.
Yeah, even PhD. So, but then the problem comes is when they get a job, and then their boss says, okay, you've got this degree, you took these modules in English. Can you go and speak with our client in the USA or something? And they're like, sorry, I don't speak English.
Yeah, then they need to learn again in the like language school. So it's like a circle process. Once they have everything like bachelor, master, PhD, but still don't speak any English, they need to come back to the roots. Just like to learn basic English conversation in the language school. So what is the point why we don't teach a basic English conversation in just like from the base, from
kindergarten.
From kindergarten of primary school. That's which is like the very important.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't do it like that. It makes complete sense, but even then it's hard. Learning language comes to do with environment. But like if I want to learn Chinese, I need to be in an environment where it's going to help me learn Chinese. But that doesn't mean I have to move to China. You can create your own environment around you.
Yeah, environment is the best friend.
Especially when you've got access to the internet now, you can speak with people on Skype in multiple different languages.
Right.
You can, and sometimes you don't even have to pay if you've got someone who wants to learn Thai, and you want to learn English. You can do a language exchange online. Like there's so much with the internet. There's so many ways, so you can create your own language like environment without having to leave. So I don't know what kind of the only solution that I think that we need to do is we need to change the way that Thais are thinking about learning English and create an environment where they feel
confident.
They're not going to be it's not going to be a problem if they make
Like a
mistakes.
safe zone,
And also,
right?
it's normal to try and want to speak English, and they're not going to be a black sheep by doing so. And until that happens, I think
Yeah,
we're
right
not
now
going to get anywhere.
we don't have yet of the safe zone, like the space that the students go and then they just learn English and speak English without afraid of making mistakes. Yeah, we still have a fear for it. And what is your experience about you have been teaching Chinese students?
Chinese students and
Online, right?
Thai students too, and it all comes down to motivation, right?
Okay.
If you're really motivated to learn English, you will overcome those two cultural hurdles of losing face and being a black sheep, because your motivation to learn English is strong enough, and that's why some people do really well in English, because they have a strong motivation, and usually that motivation is not to get a job. It's something like, I want to travel and live in USA for a year, or I want to just be able to communicate with Westerners and foreigners, and that motivation is strong enough, and that's why these people learn English. But yeah, I think that's the main issue. So yeah.
Do you think like losing face that's just Thai culture?
Well, it's Asian
Mainly
culture.
Asian.
It's Asian culture.
Asian
isn't it?
culture.
We call it
Yeah.
maybe pride, loss of pride or something.
Right.
Yeah. So apart from the cultural difficulties of learning English in Thailand for Thai people, what are just like some difficulties with the language itself? What's the hard part of English?
What's the hard part of English?
Yeah.
I think the hard part of English, the hardest part would be pronunciation.
Pronunciation, because
Yeah, it's very different from our language.
a lot of the English consonants and vowels do not exist in the
In Thai,
the
yeah.
Thai language,
like
yeah.
the TH
TH.
sound,
V sound.
the B sound, the ver, the what else? The CH and SH.
CH and S. So you have
And
CH,
Yeah.
Cha Chang, but
sound, but it's not actually
no,
CH or
it's
SH.
similar. It's like between the two, right?
It's in between, yeah. So we're gonna be confused a lot when we use English alphabet. Like when we speak the CH, we don't stress that much, and when we speak the SH, we don't do the sh
Okay.
that much because it's not our shashang, it's not our consonant. So we need to adjust. We need to adapt to the way that the English
And that's
speakers,
another issue that
yeah.
I've seen English taught in Thai schools, where they're learning English words with Thai spelling, so they're using the Thai alphabet to spell out the English words.
Correct.
And the problem is that because you're reading the Thai pronunciation, so your English words will always be pronounced in the Thai way. It's
yeah.
the same if I want to learn Thai. If I'm always writing like, if I'm always learning from the Thai word written in English and not in Thai script, my pronunciation is always going to be wrong. Like, let's think of a word like aroy. If you write in English maybe A-R-O-Y, maybe someone's going to read that and go, A-roy.
Aroy, okay.
Like,
it's not
And if
Aroy.
an American reads it and a British person reads it, they will pronounce that word differently too.
Yeah.
But if they learn the phonetics of Thai first, and then learn English, learn the phonetics of Thai first, and then learn the Thai words in the Thai alphabet, it's going to be much better. And the same applies for learning English.
Right.
You learn the phonetics of the alphabet, and that should be taught in a kindergarten, and then you learn English using the Roman alphabet. I think that.
Yeah, and I don't know as well, like why we don't teach pronunciation in Thai government school. They
Yeah.
always focus just for grammar.
Phonics is always like a extra program. It's not in the.
It's not in the
I've seen it taught
general
sometimes in like
curriculum.
extra classes and stuff, but it's not in the general. They don't teach phonics. So.
Right. Because like when you teach just grammar, you mainly focus for writing, and you see they have like they learn a structure like a table of 12 tenses, like simple, perfect, past, blah blah blah, past simple, past continuous, perfect continuous. But then when you use in your life, you're not gonna think out of this process. You're not gonna care like, oh, I'm gonna say something with the past simple tense.
Yeah,
You just speak naturally.
you speak naturally.
Yeah. So
And I think grammar mistakes and pronunciation mistakes are not that important. It's more important that you're understood. I think a lot of Thais get too worried about, oh, what if I make this grammar mistake? What if I pronounce the word wrong? But even if you do pronounce the word incorrectly and you use the wrong article or the wrong preposition of place or something,
you
still can understand what you're trying to say, and it doesn't really matter. So I think being too worried about being perfect as well is another issue. So let's finish off with something more positive. What do you think are the solutions going forward to help Thais learn English?
I'd like to ask you a question, like how did you learn English as your first language when you were very young? When you are like a baby?
You learn from
how your parents
listening and copying. Yeah. When you're a baby, you learn from listening and repeating. Yeah.
Okay, I think it would be the same.
And then playing with words. Infants try and play with words and try and experiment. See if this word can go with this one. And they sometimes they make mistakes. Like babies when they're learning new languages, they'll say they won't use grammar correctly when they're babies. They'll use simple words and they'll try and put them together in their own way. And playing with the language is an important part of learning, I think.
Yeah, let's say like for example the word eat, right? In English, when you're young, I think you've been taught that eat is before you eat, before you take the food in. But after you already taken, it's gonna be ate.
Yeah.
So the parents give this to the kids, right?
Yeah.
To the infant, and then it's stuck on your head. After a few times, you know, okay, after you put it on your mouth already, after you digest, it's gonna be ate. It's not eat at all. So this process is not in our language. It's not in Thai. So we need to learn like by the gestures. Like when you do something and then you finish something, you say differently from the same root of word. Yeah, I think it's that way, right? You don't remember the grammar, like structures, like the verb, the regular verb, the verb 1, verb 2, verb 3. You don't have that.
It just comes naturally and it feels right.
I think so.
I think if there's any Thais out there watching this and wanting to improve their English, maybe we can put subtitles, I don't know.
Right.
But if we do, advice I would offer for you is try to create an English environment around yourself. If you're able to make foreign friends, great. If not, you're able to use the internet to do the same, also great. Like the internet is an amazing resource that you can use. Other than that, I suggest again, trying to create this English learning environment around yourself by spending time, instead of watching Thai movies, and watch English movies and watch English TV shows without Thai subs. So you really start to try and listen, and then just speaking as much as you can and making as many mistakes as you can and playing with the language. And that's the only way you're going to learn. Don't worry about grammar. Throw your grammar books away. Grammar books are only good for passing tests in Thai schools, that's it.
Yeah, but it doesn't help you like when you speak in your life.
Not at all.
You're not gonna think about grammar at all. It's gonna come out naturally. And also like one point I want to add on is you don't really need to wait just to speak with the native speakers, because right now it's globalization. You're gonna feel that every tourist that come to Thailand, they're not just native speakers. So you can learn English from anyone. You can speak English to anyone. Doesn't matter. If you learn from native speaker, that's the right way, because it's their own language. They need to know more than any other countries, right?
I say the same thing to my students in the south of Thailand, in Songkhla, that okay, there's not that many, in the city that I live in, Hat Yai, and there's not too many foreigners there, so it's not easy for students to have foreign friends to speak English with. So I say, look, what about all the guys coming from Singapore, Malaysia,
China,
and maybe not China too much.
Okay, like Chinese, sorry.
They're definitely Malays and the guys from Singapore that come and live and travel in Hat Yai all the time. They speak very good English, and
those are English
when
speakers.
I say It doesn't have to be a native speaker. It can even be another Thai friend who also like.
Keep order here! Keep order, I said!
Learning English. So yeah. Okay, so I think we'll end that part there. Thanks for chatting today, and we'll see you in part 2 when we're going to talk about the difficulties for foreigners learning Thai.
Thai.
Okay. See you next time.
See you.